You are tuning into the Goldylocks Productions presentation of the Angels and Healing Light Show. Sit back, relax, and be open to receive the angelic messages and healing channeled through your host, Laura Romeiro.
Joy and laughter here at the moment, and so I'm very happy to be with you all today. Good morning, it's Laura Romeiro with Angels and Healing Light. I'm so happy today. I feel like I'm surrounded with all of the joy and happiness, angels and guides today. I was telling my dear producer, Tiffany, that I will probably be laughing during this entire show, so bear with me. Please stay tuned for specific messages for you from the angels. We're here to help you grow, guide, connect, have fun, have a beautiful, happy, joyful life. That's what we're here for. We're here to help others and make a difference. And so please, there's a message for you in this show. So please catch on to what resonates with you and think about how that makes some significance in your life. Maybe it's going to bring something to light. Maybe it's going to help let something go. I do want to take a moment to say thank you to Chancey Bolo, my guest last week. I've heard from several listeners who have taken up his challenge of letting go of things that don't work for you anymore, anything that you're holding on to in the past. I've heard from several of them that have taken up the challenge of letting go and have told me what a great change and significant change it's made in their life. So thank you to those of you who have trusted to take that challenge and have gone ahead and done it. And thank you for Chancey for speaking from your heart and soul. And I'm now very happy. I'm sorry I'm laughing. I'm just so happy right now. I'm so happy to tell you that my special guest today is my wonderful producer, Reverend Tiffany White Sage Woman. Reverend Tiffany is in her own right a healer, a psychic medium, a beautiful light to the world. She's got multiple venues and ways of sharing that light and healing. And today I've asked her to join me, and I think I just decided our show is going to be called Double Trouble. So welcome, Reverend Tiffany. I'm very happy to be talking to you today. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Laura, and everyone listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be a great show. Not that your shows aren't always great. And last week's with Chance, it was just, wow. I mean, he had me in tears. It was just so, you just felt it in your heart. It was so powerful, and I'm so glad that you brought him on and that you've got some really great feedback from that.
Well, thank you. And I love listening to your shows, too, and watching them on Facebook because you always bring so much joy and happiness. And, you know, I sit here and worry about, am I going to forget what I'm here to talk about? And watching you just have fun with it and bring your light and joy, and you remind people to do the same thing. So can you kind of tell me about your development, or how did you become interested in healing? How did you become interested in helping others shine their light? And you teach classes. You help by sitting behind the engineering desk. You're helping others bring their messages and their light to the world. So that's a big job that you have, and I know it's divinely guided. How did you get started into all of this?
All right. Well, I've since I was young, I've just always communicated with channeled angels. They've always been a part of my life. The angels and these light beings, these huge forms of light, have always been with me. And I could speak to spirit as well, the loved ones. I grew up in a very strict Christian household, and talking to spirit really scared my mom. So she didn't, and I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I mean, you have to you understand what I'm talking about, but it's when children or even adults, when we see all energy and it's all alive, it's really hard to distinguish, until it happened to where my own grandmother crossed over. And she came to me when she did. This is my mom's mom. And my mom couldn't handle hearing all of that. And so she had asked me, she goes, please, I just can't listen to this anymore. And I was like, well, Mom, can I talk to the angels? And she goes, yes, angels are great. Keep talking to the angels. And I'm like, all right. So out of respect for my mom and being told, too, that this isn't normal, that normal people just don't talk and communicate with spirit. So maybe just a fitting in process, but I pushed that aside. I mean, I could see them and they're in shadows, but I didn't communicate with them anymore. It's kind of like turning a deaf ear to them, and I was like, I can't. And so I just continued to speak with the angels. They have helped educate me a lot at a time when I felt like I didn't have anyone else. My mom and dad were divorced when I was 4, or they were separated. And then they tried again because my mom was pregnant with my younger brother, so they came back to try, but it just didn't work. And then I got into this whole healing. I always came in knowing that healing was just part of life, as a part of who we are as beings. And, there wasn't a separation. To children, there's no separation. And so I watched my mom activate. Listen to me. I watched my mom activate her cancer. I watched her bring the dis-ease into her physical body. I didn't understand what was happening at that time. I could still see the energy. I saw this darkness follow her. It was not another entity. It was her own feelings, her own thoughts, her own the divorce, the separation and divorce was very hard, really, come to find out, on both my parents. And so my mom was always crying, always upset. Oh, now she's a single mother. And just, it's very sad. And I felt like I had to be the adult sometimes. And my grandfather helped out a lot as well. But it was just, okay, I put my feelings and my wants and desires all focused into my mom, because I knew what was going to happen if she did not find joy and embrace joy and gratitude. And I saw this darkness, her illness, follow her around, and then one day it went into her body. And I kind of was like, oh, okay. And then but it took years. Still, even after going into her body, and I was probably like 5 or 6 at the time. Wasn't until I was 8 years old when she started to have some health issues, and then she got the diagnosis of cancer a year into her remarriage to I don't use the term stepdad. I called him my bonus dad. As a great bonus. So a year after they were married, I was like 9 years old when she got the diagnosis of cancer, breast cancer. Oh, right around the heart.
I was going to ask if it was
surprise.
Breast cancer.
Yep, that women get breast cancer because of their heart. It's right in the heart chakra area. And so, and she was freaking out, just starting to box things up and label, I want this to go to your brother, and I'm like, would you stop? The whole family was on edge. And that was like the only time that I let things go slip, as far as, but Mom, it's not your time. The angels are telling me it's not your time. And she just looked at me, she goes, only God knows that. I was like, but angels are from God. I was like, what are you scared of? I was like, angels, God communicates to everybody. God's inside everybody. And so it was so she survived all, but it was very devastating to watch the whole process. She had she had one a mastectomy, and then she had reconstructive surgery done, which it confused me. I did not know why she did that, but the whole process of going through that, I watched the horrors of chemo. I watched I saw how it destroyed her energy. The biofield was just, I thought that was worse than the cancer itself. And that's as far as I'll go with that, because I don't want to, but science is proving that it's not working. So I watched all this, and I was like, there's got to be a better way. And she, being very Christian and just the upbringing of, and maybe even some of the brainwashing from society, who was like, what did I do wrong? Is God punishing me? And I was like, oh, no. No. God's not punishing you at all. I knew all this at such a young age. I was like, this isn't from God. We create our own destiny. And when we're sick, it's our own fault. And I know that's hard for everyone to swallow because we weren't taught that. We weren't taught to take responsibility for our own wellness, mind, body, and soul. And all of that has to be in balance, mind, body, and soul. And we have to watch our feelings. We have to watch our thoughts. We have to be able to deal with things and not suppress them. Because when you suppress them
and hold on to them.
Exactly. And so there's got to be a better way. I was horrified going to doctors with my mom. I wanted to go and be supportive. But I also, my mother could be very quiet, and I was always a very vocal one. And to watch her tell a doctor that she was in pain or this and that, and this procedure was painful, and he pretty much just told her to suck it up, that it's all part of the process. And I looked at him, and I remember getting very upset. I was 12 at the time. And I was like, you took an oath to harm none. What kind of attitude is that? I mean, I got kicked out. I couldn't go back to the doctor with my mom anymore. But it was almost like this divine wisdom came through me. That wasn't me speaking, right? And I could tell when the angels would step in and just, okay, I'm an open vessel, let's go, because this is not right. This is a crime on humanity, I felt, when we just are not taking responsibility for our own health. And it's not, it's not that matter of whose fault it is. It's just we weren't taught that. We came in blind, so to speak. We really didn't, because there's we came in with a treasure box, that sacred within, and that's where all the secrets lie. But we were taught to ignore that, what was inside of us, and rely on the external world around us. So it was just finding that and getting back to that state of balance too. How do I, and I'm sure you and everyone else who are very open and channel the angels and spirit, it's kind of like, where do we find balance in this world? And so I have always been able to communicate and just help family and friends. And then it's 9 years. Yeah, it's 9 years since my great-grandmother and grandmother came to me in spirit. And, I mean, since the birth of my children, and I'll tell you, most people will say, when you already have these gifts and abilities, or even if you don't, when you have children, when you have this life inside of you, it activates and kickstarts all your abilities again. And so, I mean, really, really strong. And so then I had to, I was comfortable, I had balance, then it throws you off balance, and you have to learn that again. And but they came to me and it's like, okay, you've helped so many people around you. Let's just expand that help. Take it to the public now. And now social media is great. Is going to be building technology. You can help people all around the world. I didn't really understand at that time, but because technology has changed so much in the last 9 years and last 9-10 years. So but I listen. I always learn. I better listen, you know. And you can learn the hard way of ignoring, and then they just come back louder and stronger. And then when you get tired of all the challenges and you feel like you're just hitting the wall, you know, you learn to listen. And like, okay, you know what? Let's take the easy way, and it is easier and better for you.
You know what's funny, Tiffany?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying about listening? And when I do my readings, and a lot of times I use the angel oracle cards. And what's funny is that I have, you know, probably 18 different decks. And before a reading starts, I am told which decks to choose for my readee, my client. And I will get a certain message from one deck. And they, you know, and I'll pass that information along, and they just kind of say, okay. And then I'll work on another deck, and the same message will come through again. And then I'll get another deck, and the same message will just keep coming up over and over and over again. You know, what am I talking about? 156 different cards. And the same message comes out every time, and I just have to laugh. I say, okay, this is where they're just going to keep repeating themselves until you say, okay, I get it now. And it happens, and it just makes me laugh every single time. Like they're saying you're not listening, and every card from now on is going to be the same until you say, okay, I understand. Yes, it's a matter of learning to listen for sure.
Yes, you know, and that's what surrender, if you've heard people say, you know, or, you know, you've heard us say maybe surrender. You have to trust and surrender, and that's where that all comes. Surrender and trust is hand in hand of, okay, I'm not fighting this anymore, and so we do, and we have to trust that and listen to it. And a quick way to help people illustrate this is I was like, all right, so our minds, how old are our minds? And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with our minds. Our minds are brilliant. Our minds are only as old as our bodies on this earth plane at this time. Now, how old is your soul? Your soul is timeless, and it resides in that sacred heart center, that heart chakra. That's where some people separate. They say that we have four. It's you know, your emotions, your soul, and then mind and body. But when I see the energy field, it's three. It's mind, body, and soul. Your soul and emotions are the same. It's like your emotions are the gatekeeper, and you have to get through the emotions, make sure that your emotions are in check to get into that sacred heart deeper, deeper, deeper within to the soul. So it's like, all right, so what, your soul is timeless, and that's where all the wisdom lies. I would definitely trust my soul than my mind, which can be overprotective. And can lie to yourself. How many times we've lied to ourselves? We've been in denial, you know, and so and that's all part of the learning process, learning of the tools that we had and learning to navigate through them. But I'll tell you, when I stopped fighting myself, it became and allowed the messages and the energy to come through as a divine channel. It got easier, and your whole body relaxed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you're in fight, when you're in fight mode, you don't realize how much your shoulders are tense, your tongue is tense, your muscles are tight, and so. And
you don't breathe as often or as deeply. People find they tend to hold their breath too. I can say I've been through that, and it's like,
Oh, absolutely. And I, children too. I remember holding my breath because I felt like I would be invisible. Isn't that crazy? But when I was young, I was like, if I hold my breath, no one, you know, I would become invisible. Well, no, that doesn't work. But you don't disconnect from that divine breath. Breath is sacred. It's taking the deep breath. And I did learn, too, with the whole, you know, shallow breathers. Those that have a disease are shallow breathers. They don't breathe deep. So breathe deep. It's very important when you're bringing the oxygen in deep into your body. You are allowing a healthy environment and a place for disease to not exist. So I thought that was very interesting information to find that out, was that those with disease can't. And you can, they always like short breath and go, and because they're not breathing deep. Those that are healthy can breathe deep.
What would you say for a person that has experienced a physical trauma and is, not of their choice, obviously,
right?
Or, well, not obviously. Sometimes people hurt themselves. But so what would you say to somebody that's been, say, in a car accident and has a lot of pain and of course, anxiety that comes from that trauma of kind of facing your own mortality, plus worrying about the future because you're full of pain and anxiety? What would you say to help somebody heal, to start that healing process and letting go of all of those fears?
The first thing is that we have to have that empathy, empathize with that pain. And as a healer, I've learned to address, because here's the thing, is that we can see it all. And when you go right to the truth and give someone the truth first, they deny it. They think you're crazy. Mm-hmm. They deny it. They won't take responsibility. And I found that truth goes through 3 phases. Absolute denial. I mean complete denial, to where they'll fight with you, denial. And then it's kind of, they move into like an ignorant stage where they kind of just, no, I'm going to ignore this. And then they come around, that 3rd phase is they start to embrace it because they realize after it sinks in, all right? So you have to approach from a healer point, and that is healing sessions. And, let's heal the trauma from the body, all right? Let's heal your body first in this case, because if you go right to the soul healing, you're going to get pushback. And it's not until they're ready to accept why it happened and how it happened, and that it's okay. Because immediately we've been taught to be a victim or to play the blame game. So you have to get through that first. So when you're helping people work, let's go through the chakras, let's go through the body, let's have some healing sessions, and they feel that working and changing and shifting within them. Then they're like, wow, there is really something to this. And it's, okay, yes, I want to know more. And when they're ready, then you can tell them. The accident happens because of choices that we make. And maybe we get a little cocky in life. Maybe we think, nothing's going to happen to us. Or, we just get into this mindset. And then we're reminded, okay, there's more to life than this. And it helps really to get us back on track. It's a kick in the butt that we need of, hey, let's get back into balance. Because when we're operating off balance, we do things that really are not for our highest and greatest. And then we have these reminders that pop up for us. And these, you're off track. So, and you can actually, if something is, but I'm telling you, ever since 1987, the harmonic convergence, things have changed because we are in this huge ascension process right now. And what I mean by that is it used to be that, okay, I have to experience specific things in this life. We do have free will. We get to choose how we react and respond to specific things in this outline that we have to go through. So, like, I'll give an example. Say we have to experience a car accident. It's part of this divine plan that we had coming in. Well, sure, let's put that energy out there to experience a fender bender only. Not a major accident. Hey, if I've got to experience this, let it be a fender bender, and I'll get my lesson very fast, very quick. Even sometimes when things happen like that, an accident, then people feel victimized. They feel they have to blame somebody. They go into this fight then. And because of fear, it triggers even more fear of pain and how am I going to survive and how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that. And that's a very challenging and hard lesson to get back to trust. But, you know, if that's necessary, then that's what we've got to go through. Now, though, it's easing up more and more. Karma is instant. It's instant karma. And karma is really just a divine balancer. It makes sure that in the scales that we balance ourselves immediately, and we recognize it. And so things are getting, yes, maybe to some a little bit more challenging. If you're fighting, it's going to be more challenging. If you're allowing the process, it's going to get easier. All right? And so that's why this ascension process is very important, to take responsibility for your life. That's all. And we have to, I mean, I know it could, you know, you be full of pride, and I had to go through that too myself. Even though I grew up the way that I did and know these things, when we go through it ourselves, we kind of we still have to learn. We're here to learn. And I went through a phase of where my kids were small and I was sick. And from like a gallbladder, just digested things. And I realized I was holding the energy in. And as soon as I realized that, oh no, I'm not going to have the same thing happen, right? You know, that happened to my mom. I mean, that was her, I don't want to say destiny, that was her path, that was her life, and I'm not going to, and we don't have to repeat. We don't have to have vows from our ancestry. Some people feel like their whole ancestry or their whole line is cursed. No, we are here to heal not only ourselves, but our parents, our ancestors past, all of humanity's past. And it happens very gently and easily and instantaneously. When we start to work on ourselves, we're working on everything behind us and in front of us. Everything below us, everything above us.
I have done some healing on my ancestors, and that was one of the most powerful and beautiful things. And I could just feel all the love pouring forth and relief, sense of relief. Oh, it's so many things I don't always understand, and I know I don't have to, but it was a really beautiful connection with ancestors that I may not ever have heard of, let alone know, but it was a beautiful time.
Yes, and it is. It really is. And what many of us don't realize is this is where fear of money comes from too. So whether it's health or your thoughts of money, how you view money, may not be your own. And remember that we're taught at a young age on how we're supposed to be civilized, so to speak, in society. But is that really civilized, or is that means of control? So to keep you away from your true power, which is being balanced, being within that, I would call it cosmic heart healing, is when you reside in your soul, in that heart center, that sacred space center, where we are connecting to the divine cosmic heart. And it's always a challenge of staying balanced. Like you're flying a plane or a helicopter, you have to maintain balance daily. It's not just, okay, I'm going to set it right here on autopilot and we're good for the rest of this life. I've had my challenges, we're good. No, it's something you have to work on daily, but it does get easier. And when you make it part of your daily process, you don't even pay attention anymore, because it's just part of that okay, all right, we're doing this now, maintaining. We just need to maintain the balance.
And I think, ladies and gentlemen, maintaining balance done on a regular basis can be just as part of your routine, like brushing your teeth and making coffee. It's simple to do. It certainly incorporates letting go of everything that doesn't work for you any longer. It involves forgiving yourself and others. It involves making choices to stay focused on the areas that you want to go. And it involves gratitude to your Creator for the things that you have and the things that you'll get, and asking your guides, your angels, your Creator to help infuse you with healing and energy and light. And it's a short, brief, I think, process that can be done in just a matter of moments. But yes, doing that every day will help keep you centered and focused. And also, I think very importantly, stay focused on who you are and what's important to you as an individual, rather than focused on your obligations and pressures that are being put on you by other people or society or responsibilities. We all have them, of course, but remembering to stay focused on yourself and who you are and what you're here to accomplish. It's important to do that on a daily basis, because we don't get feedback necessarily. It doesn't show up in the mail. There's no report card. So helping to stay focused on your, and I tell people that I get a lot of people that come to me for spiritual counseling, and they don't feel like they're making any progress, and they actually are doing a fantastic job of trusting and believing and trying, and I just have to remind them, this does not come with a report card. Nobody will give you a certificate of completion, but one day you'll turn around and look behind you, and you'll see how far you've come and how much easier life is. So it's important to keep that balance every day, just so that you can stay focused on what's important to you.
Absolutely. And just to give an example is that someone who meditates a lot, in the very beginning of the stages, I say the first 6, to develop a habit, 6 to 9 weeks, taking that extra time, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, however long, that just gets you into the habit of connecting and spending time with spirit. I've had someone I've watched grow, a client, a healing client grow, and would meditate every day faithfully for like months to, 3 months, 6 months. And then she would tell me, I forgot to meditate today. I'm like, well, what did you do? Her meditation was sitting down in her sacred space and meditating, concentrating on this meditation. And I was like, so what did you do today? And she would tell me, and I was like, did you go and connect with nature? Well, yeah, I did this and this and this. I was like, did you give gratitude? Yes, while I was doing this. And I was like, well, you are meditating. You just made it now such a part of your daily life, and you're incorporating it into your daily activities, not as a separate activity, but you're doing it all day sporadically.
Yeah.
We don't pay attention
and didn't
to that.
even notice it.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, and we can get signs. You have to connect with nature. Nature most definitely will give you the signs. And whether it's a bird that comes really close to you, or the way the bird looks at you, or an animal looks at you, the way, you can sit by a tree and feel that tree's wisdom and love, and just go out there and pay attention to the life outside of you. And you'll realize that we are all connected. And I love having dogs because they make me go outside. I can be quite of a workaholic, but they make me take breaks because they need breaks. So I go out there
always
with them.
playtime when there's a dog around.
Exactly, yes. And so they remind me to play, to go out there and connect with nature, and let them run around outside while I can feel. You can have shoes, boots on, whatever. You can have snow beneath your feet, but you can connect. And I challenge you to connect to Mother Earth's heartbeat. Have it sync up with yours. It's beautiful. And you don't have to be outside to do it. When you get used to that connection, you can be in your own home. The energy goes through floorboards, goes through the house, goes deep down into the earth. You can connect with the earth. You can connect with her. Feel that heartbeat. Have that sync up. Another way to pay attention to Mother Earth's heartbeat, go to a drumming circle. A drumming circle is very powerful. And when you see a hummingbird, and I feel like I have to mention this, somebody's listening, because hummingbirds, woodpecker. Somebody has experienced woodpeckers. So if you start to see woodpeckers come up like 2-3 times, 2 or 3 days in a row, woodpeckers is nature's drummers. Pay attention to that. The sound that they make, and they remind you to connect with Mother Earth's heartbeat. Sit in a drumming circle. Get a drum. Do it yourself. Find that rhythm, because when we let go and we start playing a song, or what we're doing is we're mimicking Earth's heartbeat. And so get into that flow. And I'll tell you, that's beautiful. And there's your sign. You can get signs from songs that come up. You can get signs from a message on a license plate in front of you, billboards, just anything. So we can't get the validation if we're paying attention to it, and we have to stop being so concentrated and focused on ourselves in order to get the sign. That's the key. Is that it's going to come. We feel like outside of us, but it's really deep inside of us. And this is when the outside is responding to the sacred part of you to give you this sign. So you have the internal and external working together to give you signs. And we just have to pay attention.
One of the most beautiful things I experienced with drumming was there were a couple ladies, including myself, working on a horse that had a very serious disease. And one of the ladies there was a shaman, and she brought her drum. And while I was doing the energy work, she was just doing a very gentle beat on the drum and sending her intentions. And I'll tell you, I think all three of us went into a state of just utter peace and relaxation, and the energy flowing around there was incredible. But listening to that beat over and over and over again really just took us to a different place that was peaceful and supportive. And I had to ask her about that. And she said exactly what you said. That's Mother Earth's heartbeat. And we're all part of it.
We are. And it syncs us all up. It syncs us up together. And so you and the other two healers just made healing times 3 even more powerful. And it takes everyone onto that same vibration. And if you attend a drumming circle where everyone drums, when you start off, everyone's doing their own thing, but by the end of that session, everyone's in sync, and no one's been told what the song is. Everyone, because you're all connecting, you're allowing, and you're really all connected to Mother Earth's heartbeat and to that same vibration. It's beautiful. It works every time.
And that gets, I get kind of emotional when I experience things like that. It can be very overwhelming, simple and overwhelming at the same time. It's very incredible. And I have a feeling that horse, who, by the way, today, initially was slated not to survive, that horse today is doing really, really well. But it almost seemed like she was on a mission to bring everyone together. I never saw a more graceful creature going through such a difficult time. And she was always she still is full of love. And she's just a nice little lady. Well, nice big lady. It was almost like she brought us all together. And just kind of sat and said,
Yeah, absolutely. It could be our loved ones. And for those that don't have children, and that's okay, you can still be mentored to other kids, to animals. Animals will bring you together too. And that's the thing about, I want to mention too, about sick kids. Not anymore, because we're in this ascension process, and now kids coming in are 7th dimension and higher. These are very high dimensional beings coming in because it's safe now for them to come in, and not be treated that they have this disease, that they're not normal, and try to suppress them. That's actually over. But we have seen kids in the past come in that were sick, and we question why. Well, what happens? Has the kid brought you back to God? Has the kid brought you back to where you needed to be? I have seen the sick children make a strong influence on their family, bringing the family closer back together, bringing them back to their belief, of hope and love. And many of them go and start these organizations or these communities of, we don't want anyone else to feel alone. And they help everyone. They reach out and help everyone. And had they done that, would they have done that if their child wasn't sick? That's interesting. So we do have the kids coming in that are powerful teachers.
Do those children have a specific, is that an indigo child, a crystal child, do you know?
They're just high vibrational. Labels like that, the angels really don't like labels. They don't use labels because it's part of separation. They're just all high vibrational children. And notice that if they don't stay on this earth plane long, they can't hold this in the lower vibrational energy too long. And this is a good thing now, is that we're moving away from that. The 3D couldn't support a high vibrational being for too long in human form. But they were here to come in as a powerful teacher. And if you recognize that blessing, then it changes the whole family. And maybe even that challenge too is where at first you feel like, why me, you have to go through that. But now, because many of us are already 5D and going higher, now because Mother Earth she has her own mission, and she is expanding and ascending with or without us. And those that don't want to ascend, you're going to see them start to leave this earth plane. So what you see as natural disasters or these killings or these shootings and this is happening is they went off and they're done. They go back to God. Okay, please know that. And so they're not coming back here because Earth is no longer 3D. All right, so it's a place for high vibrational beings again, because she didn't start off as a 3D planet. So it's very interesting. It's very powerful. And now the children coming in are most definitely still going to be these teachers, but in different ways. It's bringing so much more light into this world. But those that want to support
Archangel Jophiel has a lot to do with that, because she's the angel of wisdom and helping us see the beauty, the wisdom in all situations, the silver lining in every cloud, so to speak, but helping people come together through difficult times is a very, very challenging blessing. And it's one of the things I was speaking to Tim a couple of weeks ago, Tim Sheehy, about the blessings that are discovered during people's sufferings. And it's some things you can't stop the train, can't stop the locomotive, but you can surely appreciate the fact that there are many beautiful things that can happen during those situations. And sometimes it's not until much later that we see that.
Right, exactly. And that's why, from a balance point of view, you can see the dark, you can see the depths of hell, and you can see the complete light too. From a balanced state, you get to see it all. And the thing
is, the beauty of that is you get to choose which light you're gonna follow,
or just stay right in the center. That's what we, just stay. We don't have to make a choice. There's no separation. That balance point right in the middle, that level point, like if you take a level, too much to the left, too much to the right, that's what the scales mean, is that balanced state of being. Let's maintain the balance. We don't have to make a choice of left or right. It's both. There is no good or bad. It's good, bad. It's part of the same energy and vibration. It's just different spectrums of it. And so we can see and experience it all. these higher light beings that watch us, watch what we're doing. And I'm going to tell you, there's a fine line between angels and aliens, all right? And don't let that scare you. They're all high vibrational beings. There's a difference, but I have found that I wasn't communicating just with angels. And so there are very high vibrational light beings that were rooting for humanity to rise above. And it has started. We had to meet them halfway. And now they're flooding in. Like you said, it's all the archangels, all the angels, everyone, light beings, whether you want to call them aliens or not, are able to now, because we met them halfway, we had to do our part, are now, as this is part of the ascension process, we're ascending, we're going up, and they're helping us. They're pulling down. They're like, yay, come on, come on. They couldn't interfere before until we reached a certain point, and we did. All right, we got past 2012, and every year past 2012 is going to be more and more powerful. All right, and so that means, though, that the shedding, that lower vibrational 3D energy cannot survive in high vibrational energy. So we're going to see that start to fall off. So it may, if you're empathic, please don't watch the news. The best thing that you can do is to, oh my gosh, it's devastating. All these people died. So you're connecting to how they feel. Go past that. Mm-hmm. Don't stop there. Don't dwell there. Don't reside there. Don't set up an area code and get your mail there. You need to keep moving through that energy. How can you help them? Thank them. Thank you for your life. You made a difference on this earth plane. Thank you so much because you're part of this process. And help them, guide them back to the light. Guide them. Help guide them back to, by you initiating your light, activating your light, you help everyone else. And that's what we need to do, is don't get stuck in that grief. It's okay to grieve, which I feel is that empathy, connecting, heart to heart to someone. But we need to take that and keep going up with it. Take that grieving. Don't go down. Go up with it. And just bring that person into the light. No being wants to feel like they've lived their life here and that they won't be remembered. So that's acknowledging them and thanking them. Even if they're a really mean, bad person, every being has a God spark in them, has that God within them. And that's who you are thanking and connecting, and that helps get them back to the uncreated mass of God. So that's where they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to ascend on their own. They're going to go back to God. And that's beautiful. That's okay. So it can seem like it's devastating, but we have to ask to see the good in it too. Now, isn't it interesting, though, when something good happens, we never ask to see the bad part of it. We just celebrate the good.
Yes, that's right. Continuing to enjoy and share and feel that energy and that light.
Right.
Let's keep it that way.
But when you see it all as one, and just see it as one and hold it in that space, that's all you've got to do. We don't have to make a choice, which this way or that way. But that's how we had been taught, is separation, and now it's about us. And we went from the whole I am state of being, I am, to we are. We are one. We are.
Including animals.
Oh, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All living beings. Animals, insects, whether you like them or not, they're part. Every living being.
They certainly are. And, this next week, I want to tell you that next week I have a wonderful guest coming named Chris. And Chris runs an animal sanctuary that he started in honor of his mother. And I've been out there and I've met Mikey the pig Daisy and Sparkles, the cow. He's got baby sheep and lambs, and he is just on a mission to help animals that are slated for slaughter or are unwanted or mistreated. And he is also, funny enough, one of the people that I worked with in real estate, and we were both struggling for a while, realizing that, there's something else we need to be doing. And it took both of us had a great leap of faith and trust in ourselves, and certainly moral support for each other to help us reach the points and the places that we are now. So speaking of we are all one, I can't wait for you to all hear from Chris next week. It should be a fun and interesting show.
Yes.
So Tiffany,
yes,
so people that are on their path of spiritual development, people that have recognized that they have a mission to fulfill and are willing to do it and are trying to do it and aren't quite sure where they're at or how to continue to progress. Sometimes you just feel stuck or overwhelmed. We all know that feeling of being overwhelmed or working with ascension sickness. Thank God, I think I'm past that. What kind of advice do you have for people that are kind of in that 2 steps forward, 1 step back stage, not realizing their progress?
Well, what the angels had shared with me, the angels and the light beings, is that, when we make so much progress, and now in the 3D is almost like we're still living at home with our parents, and they very much would communicate with us a lot on a daily basis and are here for us. And they still are in the ascension process, but when you leave 3D and going to the 4th D, by the way, it was heaven. You see a lot of people may talk about 3D jumping right to 5D. 4th dimension does exist. That's what we call heaven. And that's kind of like I would call a transportation center. Like, there's this huge hub, whether it's a train station or an airport of spirit coming and going. And so as we are rising, a lot of us are in 5D, but as a lot of us that are going even higher, when we get to a new dimension, how you can tell you have access to a new dimension is because you feel all alone. You've just initiated into another level of master, which, yes, we are masters. Don't. Oh, no one's a master. I'm not worthy. Yes, you are. Just let go of what your idea of master is and know that it's an initiation. And so what does a master and a teacher do is you're on your own. As far as being so hands-on, they're still, okay, so you move out of your parents' house, they still got a watchful eye over you, but they're not going to be helping you with every little decision that you make anymore. That's up to you. But they're going to be there still always for when you really need them, all right? And it's working together. When you start working with them side by side, that's different, all right? And it's also like you're in this multi-level building. You're familiar with the floor you're on. So you go to the next floor, you feel alone, you're not familiar with the layout of that floor. So you have to take the time and learn that energy of that floor. And then you progress to the next level. That's that feeling. That's what they show. So you're not alone. You're not stuck. Congratulations. You're just in a new level, in a new vibration, dimension, and realm. Give yourself some applause and keep going. and look for the other light workers, because we're never alone.
Yeah.
You just got to connect with the other light workers on that level too.
And I'm sure there are a lot of light workers that all feel the same way. I'm in this by myself. Nobody understands me. I can't explain myself to anybody because no one will get it. Well, there are people that do get it, and more people are starting to see that light and understand it. So, and please like she said, give yourself some applause. It's one of the hardest journeys you'll make as you're going through this process. It's not easy. No one gives you an instruction book. No one gives you an itinerary. It's all up to you and what's in your heart, in your soul, and trusting and allowing that, connecting with your guides, your angels, your creator. You are surrounded, absolutely stunningly surrounded by so many beings that love you and want to see you succeed and do well. And they love you unconditionally. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be kind all the time. You don't have to make the right decisions all the time. You just have to be yourself and recognize the fact that you've accomplished something and give yourself some credit. Celebrate it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Say thank you to those that are helping you get to where you want to be. And recognize that the messages come from various sources. They may be from your guides. They may be, like you said, a billboard. They may be from someone that comes up to you and says exactly what you needed to hear at that moment. And all you need to do is smile. Say, yes. It's kind of fun. When you start getting able to recognize those signs, it gets to be kind of fun. So it's like a surprise and a treasure hunt, a wonderful, wonderful treasure hunt. So definitely have patience and understanding with yourself and give yourself credit. It's an undertaking, but it's joyful and wonderful. And I turn around and look back at my life 5-10 years ago. I can't believe the things that I've experienced and seen and done. And I can't imagine living any other way, even though I'm trying to continually progress myself. I look back and say, okay, yeah, I have come a little bit of a ways. And it's a great place to be. Mm-hmm. And it's so nice to be able to connect with like-minded and like-souled and like-hearted people that are working together to help others heal and to grow. And I am so grateful to have you on my show today, Tiffany, and sharing all your insights and wisdom and some channeling in there. And by the way, the angels told me that you are a delightful student, and that's a quote. They, at the very beginning, she's a delightful student. So thank you very, very much for being with us today. You got A+s all the way across the board.
I really felt like I was a rebellious student, not delightful, but okay, no.
Well, you know, they're laughing. I think they enjoy that sometimes too. It's like she thinks she's getting away with it. We'll just let her think that way. So So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please check in with Reverend Tiffany White Sage Woman and her Goldylocks Productions. And if you feel free to email either of us. Otherwise, stay tuned next week for Mr. Christopher Vane and his Little Bear Animal Sanctuary. Your homework for the rest of the week is honor yourself, honor each other, stay focused on the things that make your heart sing, and enjoy life, connect with nature, and look at the sky, look at the trees, look at all of the things that sing to your heart. Remember who you were when you were a little kid and all those things that were important to you. And just reconnect with yourself. So be good to yourselves and take a couple minutes every day to stay balanced, clear yourselves of old unwanted energy, ask and give forgiveness, and stay focused on who you are. So thank you, Reverend, and I will see you all next week. Many blessings.